to have permissions to let people in.
Perfect.
Oh, she's letting in. Monali, you want to start?
All right. Hello, everyone. So my name is Monali, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all today in this session. So today we are going to talk about product management, and we have Professor Priya with us, who's agreed to spend her valuable time to help us all understand more about product management and meet our career aspirations of becoming product managers soon. Before I begin this session, I would like to do a land acknowledgement. Um, so this, I would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. So once again, introducing myself, my name is Monali, and I'm the operations manager for the nextearnings.com. And it's my pleasure again to welcome you all. Now, before we begin, I would like to introduce our guest for today. Our guest today is Krishna Priya, and she's an experienced product manager with a proven track record of launching web and mobile applications across diverse domains. Krishna has worked in both startups and mature industries with a background in chemical engineering and entrepreneurships. Originally from a rural village in India, she loves nature, archaeology, and music. And I think Canada is a perfect place for you as well, Krishna Priya. So welcome, and thank you so much for your valuable time today. And I will hand the reins to you, and we can take it away. And sorry, one more thing. Few housekeeping rules that if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we will take them as we go during the session and after the session. So keep it interactive. If you're comfortable, turn on your cameras as well so we can see the faces behind all the names. And yeah, you're good to go, Krishna Priya. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So if it's possible, it'll be lovely to have you all on camera. Hi. Hello, everyone. Anyone can be on camera. Okay. Hi, Vikram. Hi, Shilpa. Hello, Vivek. Nice to meet you. Superb. That makes a difference. Thank you so much. Awesome. So this is going to be quite lighthearted, nothing to worry about. I'll start sharing my screen. One moment, please. Hopefully I'm sharing the right screen. So one moment.
Is Vikram your brother?
If it's that obvious, yes.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Vikram. Hi.
Hi.
Cool. Hopefully I am sharing my screen. If not, let me know.
No, I think we can't see it yet. Yeah, it's loading now. Now I can see.
Okay, it's loading now. Okay, great.
Okay.
So awesome. Let's get started. It's going to be quite interactive. Feel free to unmute yourself at any point. Just raise your hand. One of them will unmute you and you can ask questions, interrupt me anytime, right? So this will be fun. Let's get started. First of all, thank you very much for taking your valuable time and spending it to listen to me blabber. So here we go. What this talk will be. This talk won't have any how-to advice. So if you're expecting how to something, how to that, how to this, no, this will not have any of that. If you're expecting advice on what to do and how to go about it, no. If you're expecting any tips, also no, that will not be available here. So making it very clear, if that's your expectation, this is not the talk for you. What this talk will have is you'll have something called thought bombs. I will challenge what your thinking is. I will challenge your perspective. And I'll make sure you leave with something new and something you've discovered that you can hopefully use in your product management journey. Whether you're searching for your product management job or whether you're looking to transition, hopefully this will be frameworks you can use. There'll be fun activities. So if you have a pen, paper, a writing device, even your mobile cell phone, anything at all that you can possibly write on, just get it near you. And there'll be lots of support provided. Even after this call, I'm open to anybody who wants to connect and chat and discuss. So it's completely open. So all good. Let's dive in. So some housekeeping items. Please feel free to raise your hand at any point of time. Freely speak, truly speak whatever you have on your mind, and then be succinct for the sake of time, as I'm going to try and cover a lot of things, and that's going to happen. All right, let's get started. So I got a lot of questions, even on LinkedIn, and before that, a lot of you connected before this talk and tried to reach out. So I appreciate all of you. And the questions kind of are briefly kind of targeted into this. How do you get into product management? How to network? How to say the right things? How do I crack an interview? How do I? It's some version of tell me what to do so that I can succeed. Yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, I'm seeing a few nods. So here's your first thought bomb. I'll let that sink in for a minute. No one's coming to save you. You are it. I'll really let that sink in for a second. No one is coming to save you and you are it. Now, what do I mean by that? We'll start with an activity to discover what I mean by that. So, a question to all of you here. Some of you may already know a bit about product management. You might be project managers. You might not know anything about it. No matter where you are, it doesn't matter. So shout out, just unmute yourself and shout out or put it in the chat. What should you not be doing to get into product management? What shouldn't you be doing? Think and flip the switch. Any answers? There's no wrong answer. Go ahead. For example, you shouldn't be working in the circus if you want to get into product management. Unmute yourself, and it's going to be interactive. I will be asking you folks to shout out any answers that come to you.
Not do quality testing, maybe.
Okay. You shouldn't be doing quality testing if you want to get into product management. All right. Okay. Thank you, Shilpa. Anyone else with any answers, responses? Let's have fun. There is no wrong answer. I will actually wait for a minute or two for someone to break the silence. Which brave soul wants to volunteer an answer? I know the chat is filling up, but I would also respect some answers in person.
I would say that if you're looking at short-term goals, then probably not get into product management. My understanding is that it's majorly a longer life cycle than a project. So
Mhm.
with that.
Awesome. Thank you. So if you're looking at short-term goals, don't get into product management. Awesome. Anything else? Chat is filling up. Let's see. Okay, Vivek has an answer here that work on projectized model rather than work on value-based model. Okay, can you expand that, Vivek? Would you like to talk to us?
Yeah, so many organizations, we see that mostly they are projectized in the sense if there is a, let's say, a solution for a customer from their own applications that they offer. But what happens is the way it is structured is there are a lot of projects. Now, these projects will have to integrate with each other at some point of time. Only then it can really deliver a value. And each of these projects has a project manager, they have their budgets, they have their resources, planning, everything happens. And most of the times they work on silo and they are always busy delivering things. But end of the day, if you look at what's the value it is giving to the end users or to the company, and even if you question some of the team members who are busy working on those sprints activities, to understand, what are they delivering and why is it important for the organization. Most of them don't know the why part. They mostly know how and when, but they don't know the why part. So instead, if we have it as a productized model where we have a value stream and everybody knows what's the value that stream is working on. So if people know the why part also along with the what part, they will be more motivated to work on those changes, and they know that by implementing this is the value that team is delivering.
Awesome. Thank you, Vivek. That was beautifully put. If I can summarize, you said no more project thinking, give people more context, allow them to understand the why behind features. Okay. Okay, so Nanda has an answer here. If you want to build a product with many features in little time without the right process or people in place, of course. So what I'm hearing from all of you folks, let me just kind of attempt to summarize is add context to people. Don't try to take shortcuts. If you want to build products with many features in little time without the right process and people in place, okay, these are all valid answers. These are all great answers. And yeah, don't try to force fit. Okay, very cool. What I'm trying to get at here is our brain is capable of thinking in negatives easier than it is to think of something as a positive or a should or a how to. So we are flipping the coin, flipping the switch and asking, what shouldn't we do? We shouldn't try to take shortcuts. We shouldn't try to think like projects. We shouldn't try to explain how or to use project-based siloed thinking like Vivek said. We shouldn't try to. So as we go through this exercise, I request you to start thinking about what shouldn't you do and making a list of it mentally. What are the things that you absolutely shouldn't do if you want to break into product management? For one thing, don't message the VP and ask them if they're free for 5 minutes, 10 minutes before your interview, right? That's bad form. Don't do those obvious silly things, but try and make a list of these things. So the next question, which brings us to the next question. Let's see. What is product management? Anyone has an answer? Feel free, shout out. What do you think is product management? Okay. So you ask 100 people. Yeah, please go ahead, Monali. Thank you.
So I can answer. So for me, I think product managers are more like referees because you're constantly trying to, be the peacemaker between what the customer wants, what the business wants, and, what the FPs can deliver.
Absolutely. So you feel like the peacemaker, you feel the person who's the glue and who's just, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, if I ask each person on this call, each person will have an answer to it, right? And there is no right or wrong here. I mean, if you ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers to what product management is. So what I'm trying to get at is this field is quite fragmented. It's quite new. And it's also something that is not a highly structured discipline. So you will find viewpoints and answers, and every other person on LinkedIn or on a book or authoritative figure, they will have their version of what they call as product management. But for the purpose of this call, I'll be setting a context on what I believe is product management, and it is not the truth. Whatever I say in this call is not the truth. It's not absolute. It is not the right answer, but it's just a place for you to stand. It's just a place. It's just a way for you to look at things. If you agree with it, if you find it useful and valuable, please use it. If not, discard it, right? It's just for you, something for you to try on and see if it fits for you. So that's the approach we'll take, right? So here's your thought bomb too. There is no product. I'll let that sink in. There is no product. Boom. So there is no product, only value. We'll just start with a brief icebreaker to drive this point home. Go on, just unmute yourself and in one word, state your favorite product. A product you are absolutely sure you can't live without. Suppose your plane crashes in an island, you're the only person there, and there is this product that you can't live without. So what is that product? Unmute yourself and go ahead and say it or put it in the chat.
My spectacles, like my glasses.
Awesome. Great answer. Anyone else?
My phone.
Your phone? Absolutely. Okay. Anyone else? Earphones. Okay. Your hot water bag? Absolutely. Any other answers? There's no wrong answer. It's an awkward end of silence, but we had a variety of answers. We had phone, we had earphones, we had spectacles. So these are products. I'm going to challenge your perspective again and say the product itself is not something that you care about, but it's the value that the product is providing you that is you care about. Someone said here spectacles, I think Vaishnav. What is the value that your spectacle is providing you? Can I ask you that?
Yeah, sure. It's letting me, like, I have short-sightedness, so I can't see so it's letting me see the world. I can do my work, I can get my day going, I can see my parents, my kid. So that's the value.
Absolutely. Awesome. So the value is it brings clarity to your vision. What if I told you that maybe you don't need spectacles? Maybe you can use contact lens, or maybe you can use this magical powder that I spray and then suddenly your vision will be all right. Would you be okay to switch to that?
Definitely magical powder. I tried lenses. It did not work. I could not get it on. But anything which would make it magically gone in a day, I'm happy to embrace it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe there is some special carrot soup which you drink and your vision will be restored. Maybe there is magic powder. Maybe there's a screen. My point here is nobody cares about your product. They really don't. People don't care about products. People care about value. They only care about the value that the product delivers. So there is no product. So what is value? There is a cost associated with any value that you get out of a product, whether it's money or time or I'll leave it to the group. What are some other forms of value that you get out of the product? Shout out.
Convenience.
Yeah, absolutely. Convenience. Anything else? Why is this group so afraid? There is no wrong answer. Say anything. Taste, smell, whatever. Chat. Quality, absolutely. Impact, absolutely. The way to think about value is it costs you something to obtain that value. It's not free. Value is never free. Does its job? Okay. Yeah. There is a need, and your product is providing value towards that need. So whether you have to spend X amount of money to get that value, whether you have to spend time, whether you need to give your attention. For example, YouTube or any other social media is you're paying with your attention. That is the value that you're providing to the product. The product is helping you take care of your spare time, give you something in return for your attention. It could be money that you give to DoorDash or Skip the Dishes or Swiggy or whatever, so that you get in return the time saved, the convenience of it, the reliability of it. Effort, absolutely Apurva. So I think people are starting to get what I'm getting at. That we need to stop looking at products as products, but start treating them as the value that they provide to us. And the value can be anything. It can be monetary, it can be time, it can be anything that is going to cost you something. So product management, therefore, is that you are paid to manage value. You're not a product manager, but you're a value manager. You're literally paid to manage that valuable resource for your company. And it's your job to figure out where do you find this value, how do you manage this value, and who can do it. That's it. So you're no longer a product manager, you are therefore a value manager. The context is decisive. It depends on your domain. It depends on what you're up to, what the business goals are, what the market goals are, what your boss tells you, etc., etc., etc. But essentially, you manage value. So that's a lot of information I threw in. Who's discovering something new? If nothing, that's fine. But then if you're not, let me know. Either case, just unmute yourself and go. I don't mind awkward silences at all. I can wait the whole 30 minutes. So it's up to you.
I love the thought bombs. Like,
What are you discovering newly? What is new to you?
like you mean now, right
Yeah,
now,
what are you
or
discovering newly? I just challenged your perspective. I said that there is no product and there's only value. So what are you discovering newly?
that value or something which makes an impact is something which we cannot see
Mhm.
is what we are trying to manage. Is a
Mhm.
different perspective I'm hearing. Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely valuable to hear that. Value is not visible. Value is experienced. Beautiful. Well put, Vaishnav. Anyone else? That's no wrong answer. Come on, folks.
Hey, Vaishnavi
Don't be
stole
shy.
my answer.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, Vaishnavi stole my answer.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's product management life. Somebody steals your idea. It's okay. So people are surprisingly quiet, and I don't understand. It's your call. Make use of it. I'm here to service you. So feel free. There's no wrong answer.
So listening to the conversation, the question that's lingering is why do we call it product management then? Why not call it value management and be done with it? Like feels like product is sort of a vessel for that
Mhm.
value
Yeah.
delivered. So
Beautiful.
maybe we are focusing more on the vessel than the value or vice versa. Just that's the question that's lingering.
Awesome. Thank you. You guys are like geniuses here. Why are you holding back these gems from me? This is great. Someone should write a book on what Apurva just said. It's a whole LinkedIn article that way. Beautiful. Yeah, product is just a vessel for value. Wow, I could write that on a t-shirt and sell it. That's great. Who else? Anybody else has any thoughts? There is no invalid thought. Go ahead, please. Let me provoke you even more. So where are you adding value? No matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're a QA, you're a support systems, you're a housewife, you're a mother, father, son, child, whatever. So shout out. Who wants to bravely shout out? Where are you adding value? Where do you think you're adding value? Your current job could be gardening, it could be project management, it could be anything. As I said, I don't mind awkward silences. I can stay this whole call.
Should we maybe just call out some people and
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna just reach out to somebody who's never spoken here. So how about Amit?
Hey, I see you went with the alphabetical, maybe the first name on the list. But yeah, so like, where am I delivering value? I think so. Right now, I'm in analytics consulting. So one of the, especially in supply chain consulting, so cost optimization, basically saving costs for my clients. That's where I'm delivering value.
Awesome. Where do you think you're lacking?
Interesting question. I think I think I'm lacking when it comes to maybe looking at new opportunities
Okay.
to deliver this value. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. And there is no wrong answer here. So this question is just to really jog your brain. I'm speaking to, one person here, but that doesn't mean you don't look at it. So if I'm speaking to Amit, you look at your life and find out where you're missing or lacking value. This brings us to our next point, which is fun activity again. So this one is quite simple. We are going to look at where you are right now. All of you, Deepti, Vinod, Nanda, Ashutosh, Sunil, all of you lovely people here, whose names that I've also not said. This is an opportunity for you to tell the truth to yourself, to be absolutely honest with yourself, whether you're searching for a product management gig, whether you're trying to transition, whether you're already a seasoned product manager, or maybe you're just curious. Doesn't matter where you are. It's an opportunity for you to look at what's working and what's not working.
Mhm.
And what do I mean by that? What I mean by what is working is, where are you adding value? What's working about adding value? So I'll share an example with myself. Right now, it's been 3.5, 4 months that I got into a new job at Caseware. It's an accounting firm. So what's working here is I'm brand new. I have absolutely no idea about the world of accounting. In fact, I almost failed my accounting class in school. So I'm awful at it. But what's working about it is I have fresh eyes. I can look at things with a new perspective and question everything and anything and everyone and ask, why is this being done? What's this done? And so I don't have biases. I'm stepping into it newly. I don't have the old biases. Of course, I have my own biases. So that's something that's working for me. What else is working? I come from a startup. This is an old company. So they are used to doing things slowly, methodically. I'm a little bit jugadu. I can be scrappy, do things like that, quick and fast. What else is working? So these are things that are working for me. What else is working is I'm used to different domains. I bring the expertise from various domains and I can see what was working there and plug it in here. Those are kind of things that are working. Now, what's not working? What's not working is I have zero context. If I look at a data, it's a number for me. I look at trial balance and it's just Just trial balance. I don't care. It's if cash flow is $200 and it's 150 last year, the 50 difference is just a 50 difference for me. I don't have the wealth of knowledge to understand that decreasing cash flow means there is something else going on in the business. The number means something. I have no context. What's also not working is I'm not used to the company's procedures or the way that things are, the formal tone of things. I literally text the VP and it's like, dude, I need this. Bad form. Shouldn't do that. Okay. So these are things that are not working.
That's the
Like
best
that.
right?
Yeah, please. I mean, the VP is young, so you can probably call him dude, but maybe not the best form at the first week at the job. So my point is, this work is yours. It's private. Nobody's going to ask you. I won't ask you to share unless you want to. Take a look at where you are in your search in adding value and write down what's working and what's not working. I'll give you a few minutes to do that and be absolutely honest with yourself. The question is, where are you adding value and what's working about it? It's not working about it. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that.
Can it be something which is both, which is in both categories? Something like
Absolutely.
management,
Yeah, totally.
works,
Totally.
it works, but then if you stick to a schedule, you get frustrated with that and you want to transition
Absolutely.
a bit more fluid.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
doesn't.
Absolutely. There are areas that is working and not working at the same time. Brilliant point, Apurva.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Like you said, a schedule can help you work and it can also help you get frustrated around it. So that's not working. So great. So write it down and we'll have plenty of opportunity to refine it later as well after this call. So I'll move on with the interest of time. Which brings us to our next question. What's missing? Now you have a list of what's working and what's not working. So randomly, I'm going to call out on people and you're going to shout out in one word what's missing. So what's missing in the sense, I don't mean what's wrong or what needs to be fixed and changed. No. What I mean by what's missing is if it's there, that it'll make a difference. So for example, everybody knows Sachin Tendulkar here. I see mostly Indians. So he was one of the greatest batsmen that cricketing world has seen. So what Sachin Paji used to do after his, match, he used to look at videos of him playing the match and look at what's missing in this play. That if he put in, it would make a difference. What's really missing that would impact his performance. Not like what's wrong. So I think people got an idea on what I mean. Randomly, just random people. I'm going to call on Amit. What do you think is missing in one word?
I mean, I thought I just answered this, right?
Sure.
When I said the missing the fact that I'm not, I'm not a salesperson, so I'm not looking for more business.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
that's what's missing. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. So someone else. There is Evangeline. May I call out on you? Okay. I'll move on to someone else. Ashutosh, can I call on you? Surprisingly silent. Okay. Deepthi.
Hi. So I think for me, what's missing is putting a number in terms of value. When I say what is the value I'm driving for the product,
Yeah.
then what is the upside or what is the impact I'm bringing with the change or with the introduction of a new feature in the product.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
building the bridge and pitching to the stakeholders that, hey, this is the kind of revenue upside I will get.
Awesome.
And in the next 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months by introducing this feature. So I think that's
Awesome.
what's missing for me.
Great. Awesome. So all these are valid answers. Please keep them, write them down. Notice that there are certain things missing for you to add value. Keep them here. One more thought bomb coming up. Thought bomb 3. So you are the product. Well, let that sink in a bit. No matter what change, no matter what cycle of the product management experience you're in, whether you're looking for a job, whether you have a job, whether you're retired, no matter where you are the product. Now, what do I mean by that? You take certain actions, you add value, and the results come. This might be going against what you're thinking right now, and there's a little activity we'll get in. So what is your only answer? I want people to answer. There is no wrong answer. Go ahead, shout. What do you think is your only currency as a product manager? The only thing that you can possibly use to influence people to get what you want. So that people listen to you. Yeah, please.
Influencing skills, communication skills.
Mm-hmm. Communication skills, okay. Anybody else? There is no wrong answer.
Relationships.
Okay, relationships. What would make people listen
Business
to you?
case.
From the currency. Business skills, okay, great.
Business case.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? Credentials, degrees, references. There's no wrong answer, right? We can keep thinking of things that would make people listen to you, make them want to actually implement what you say, right? As a product manager, you have very little authority. You have only influence. Negotiation, technical skill, of course. So it is some version of skill or communication. But I assert, and I kind of will drive this point home, that the only currency you have as a product manager is trust. I'm going to pause here. Would anybody like to share what they are discovering?
It's not that I disagree, but I think trust is something that kind of pans across all job profiles, not just product management.
Absolutely. So my point here is this is not the truth. I'm saying this is something, a place for you to stand. The only way that you will influence anyone is trust. If they trust you, they'll do anything. For you, for your cause, for your product, the whole thing. So here's another thought bomb coming up. Nobody cares. Really, nobody cares. As I said, nobody cares. Nobody cares what degree you have. Nobody cares what, I mean, this is going to go against many people, what they're thinking right now. But really, nobody cares about your product, about who you are, what you are up to. They only care about one thing, value. So if there is value being provided by you, and a lot of people are providing value in an organization, in whatever, the only thing that you can possibly do to make people care for you is feeding a hungry crowd. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll ask a question. Suppose you have cakes to sell. These cakes are not the best cakes in the world. These are just ordinary cakes. They're by no means the best. What can you do to ensure that your cake is entirely sold out? Any answer? You have 100 cakes and you want to make sure that your cake is completely sold out.
Maybe market it as the best cake in the area or something.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Maybe it is the best cake. Absolutely. Maybe it is the best cake in the universe. This is the tastiest cake ever. But if your crowd is full, if nobody is hungry, will somebody buy your cake? It could be the best cake. Then if they're full right now, will they buy your cake? I mean, you can, of course, refute me by saying they can use it as a gift. Maybe they'll put it in the fridge. I know there are some very smart people here. But my point that I'm trying to drive home here is nobody will take your solution unless they're desperate for it, unless they're hungry for it. So the whole point I'm trying to make is no matter where you are in your product journey, you need to go feed a hungry crowd. So I'm going to ask you for some answers. Who's desperate and hungry? Another way of asking this question is, where can you add value? Who do you think is desperate for solutions? Who wants it? Shout out.
We as people, like everybody needs answers,
Yeah.
like solutions, shortcuts.
So think in terms of communities. What sort of communities are desperate for a solution? Who's not being addressed right now? Who's just desperate? Ops team. Okay, Deepthi, got it.
Yeah.
Ops team. Yeah. So here are some answers. I'm thinking more from a high level perspective. So not-for-profits, for example, startups, for example, could be sales team, marketing team, whoever it is who's just desperate. They want it. CSMs. Yeah. Okay. So anybody here who is absolutely desperate for a solution, we are going to hunt them down and then we are going to give them value. The next question we are going to ask is, how can you find them? People who want a solution can be found everywhere, but these are some ideas for you to get started. Could be an incubator, could be a conference, friends and family. Any other answers? Where can you find people that you can add value to? In any setting, professional, personal.
Where we see problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Where would you see problems?
Anywhere, any problem is an opportunity.
So these are all areas where you can reach out to people who are hungry, who are desperate for a problem. What can you do for them? Any answers? What can you possibly do for them in the product lens?
Hear them out, like
Absolutely.
talk to
You
them.
can listen to them. Absolutely. Totally true. You can listen to them. What else can we do? You can probably review their product. You can maybe do some market research. Maybe you can redefine the problem for them. Keep the answers coming.
Maybe
Yeah,
help them
let
with
us
the
know.
prototype.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen to the problem, understanding the requirement. So my point is, there is no one way to add value. You can add value in hundreds of different ways. Yeah, putting that house in order, absolutely. So you can listen to them, you can write about it. Yeah. Bye, Sunil. Have a great one. So there's hundreds of different ways that you can add value, not one single way. And you can figure it out. I'm not here to tell you how you can add value, but my point is saying there are so many ways that you can feed a hungry crowd, not one single way. And there are so many ways that you can add value. And we can go on and on and on about it. But my point is, find a hungry firm, find a way that you can add value to them. And I'll give you a real life example of what I mean by that. When I first got into Canada, I had zero Canadian experience, and it was something that I discovered by talking to people that they will ask for Canadian experience if you want to kind of jump into product management first off. So I was still in school, and it was illegal for me to work more than 20 hours back then. I don't know if the rule has been lifted, but you couldn't work more than 20 hours per week. Plus, my coach prevented me from taking up an internship. So they said, no way that you can have an internship or get paid for it or whatever. So what did I do? One way that I worked around the problem was I reached out to people and I started working for them for free. I offered my services for absolutely free. And that way that I managed to put in over 800 plus hours of product work. So that if you go to my LinkedIn, you'll see these examples. I reached out to a company in America called Dscoop. They are a printing solution industry provider. So what I did was I worked with them for 3 months. 3 months. Every single week, I worked with the CEO, I worked with people, and I literally just reached out to them on LinkedIn through a friend who introduced me, and I said, I can offer my services. What did I do? I did everything for them. I did market research. I worked with them to improve their product. I did product management work for free. That's it. Then there was an American internship. I cannot reveal the name of the company. It's now a funded startup. But for them, I reviewed their roadmap. I went through their backlog, wrote tickets for them, worked with the developers. And then there is another gentleman who was very well connected. This is another idea that I'm throwing out. This gentleman was extremely well connected in the ecosystem. So he knew anybody and everybody who worked with startups, hiring managers and everything. So I picked this person and then I did a project for him. I evaluated a platform for hemp. Hemp is a plant which is kind of like cannabinoid, cannabis, but it doesn't have the cannabinoid content. So I evaluated the need for a platform to sell this plant. So these are just examples of what I did as a student to gain that product experience that I can legitimately put on my resume. And this also gave me references from 3-4 important people who could vouch for my expertise. Right? This is one way to go about it. There are hundreds and hundreds of different ways to go about it. We can definitely brainstorm around that. And in summary, I'll leave you with this. That's pretty much it. So here are some resources in case anybody's interested. I'm available anytime you'd like to speak, brainstorm, look at ways to add, whatever. That's a book I highly recommend. It's by Matt Lee. It talks about the practical aspect of product management. Some of you might have already read it. I see a nod from Monali. It's literally what your day looks like if you're a product manager and some ways to get around some common problems. So that's that. Any questions? I'm open. Feel free. Anything I didn't cover, anything I messed up, go ahead and shoot.
Just a question, with your experience while working on different products, did you ever have to encounter some confirmation bias that people have? Did you have to challenge around that when looking for a solution for them? Or was it, sometimes you just get lucky that what the first solution that you propose is accepted as is, but sometimes you have to, like you mentioned something about trust, that the only currency is trust. So I believe that with trust comes, because it is developed over time, but often what stands in the way of that is people have biases. So they won't trust you. They have their own ideologies. So how were you able to go about all these different experiences that you had with dealing with bias, if at all?
Okay. Thank you, Apurva. That was like a loaded question. Awesome. So if I understood your question correctly, how do you go about? Well, let me ask you a question back then. You said there are biases with people. What was your end goal? What did you want to achieve? Of course, people have biases. What did you want to get out?
So sometimes I want to get onto the same page.
Mm-hmm.
That's the struggle that we have. When we are proposing a solution, or we're trying to come to the same topic, have a normal conversation. But what I find is that even during a normal conversation, the issue that often arises is with biases. That maybe you come from a logical reasoning point, maybe you've done your market research, but if the people who are across the table from you they're listening to you and they are set in their own ways. That's the challenge that we often have. And if you're trying to drive value, the value that you see, they should be also be able to see that value, you know?
Okay, awesome. So that's the first thing that I will kind of give a disclaimer on for any question and answers is I will only be able to satisfactorily provide you with an answer or a place to look for an answer if the question is specific. So this question is awesome. Again, let's try to make it more specific. So was there a particular instance? Was there a particular product or a particular stakeholder who disagreed and who did not see your point of view? Would you be able to share that?
So I've recently completed my master's in
Okay.
computer engineering. So during one of
Congratulations.
project, thank you. During those project, group projects, that's the challenge that I had. That we had some solutions working for us. When we do group work, and like you mentioned that it's more about facilitation side of things with with product management. So with that lens, with your experience, I was just trying to understand how did you go about those conversations when the value that you're trying to provide is the same. You're trying to make sure that they also see the same value. Something on
Great
those lines.
question. Yeah, great question. If I can phrase it differently, it is you. I'll take a real life example and probably explain this to you. This just happened just like last week. There is a certain solution that you are proposing, and there isn't basically buy-in for it or agreement for it, and you have a certain perspective. The other person across the table has a different perspective. So how do you navigate situations like that? Is that accurate? Did I capture your question?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So this just happened last week. We had a translation feature coming up, and it's a feature where we are being requested to translate certain parts of the document, and there's a lot of technical challenges around that because you have to maintain different versions of the document, so on and so forth. Now, there are 3 different stakeholders. Each person has a point of view, and that point of view may or may not align with what you propose. So you understanding the context behind their point of view will decide everything. So you can approach it from a certain context, and that context decides not just what they are saying, also what you will propose and how you will respond to it. And whether we like it or not, my view, and that's not the truth, is you can't tell people what to do, and they'll never listen. I kind of approach things from that perspective. There is no way that you can tell somebody what to do, and there is no guarantee that they will listen. People will do what they think is appropriate from their point of view, and you cannot alter or change or fix people. So the only thing you as a product manager can possibly do is to bring clarity on the value that you are trying to provide. Sometimes you can give them the value as clear as like big, bold, red ink, we are saving X $1,000. Some people will be convinced logically with that. Some people won't be. Some people will resist. Some people will say yes, no, whatever. So if you can give me a specific example, like I said this and this person said that and it didn't work, we can work with that. We can literally work at what's missing in that person's point of view that you couldn't deliver that value. So talking in the air, just giving you a random example or a framework won't really serve anyone. So if you can give me an example of what happened in your project, I'd be happy to answer. And the whole group can contribute, not just me. We can actually brainstorm what can you actually say so that it works. It's not me, it's the whole group. So feel free. You don't have to throw anyone under the bus. You can give us an actual example, no names, nothing, and we can look at how you can tackle that situation.
I can share my examples
Yeah,
with.
sure.
So I think one of the things that I have always found helpful is it always helps when you have like a solid business case whenever you are pitching any kind of idea. So what's the value, right? Whether it's going to save X number of X money. I mean, money is always important to any business. So it's going to save this much money, or if it's going to bring so much revenue. I think when people see these numbers called out in big bold letters, it always drives your point home. So having a solid business case is one. Second thing I find helpful is to have some kind of visuals. So, for example, sometimes people have difficulty in coming on board with what's in your brain. So you might have this very good idea, but maybe you're not able to translate it properly. So it helps to have some kind of mock-ups, or say Figma is a great tool where you can actually walk people through what your product is going to look like, what the journey is going to look like. So having those mock-ups, I think that's something that I always like helpful.
Okay. Anyone with a specific example, even if it's a household disagreement, you want the chair facing this side and your partner wants the chair facing the other side. Perfectly valid.
Yeah, I'm glad my husband is not around. Otherwise, he would have had a lot to say about furniture placement in our house.
Oh, me and my husband have a lot of things about how to raise children.
Big topic. So
Yeah,
anything specific?
anything specific. It boils down to how do we discipline our children. That's the thing.
Okay. Again, more specific. I'm going to drill down on people until they get super specific and say, this was what they said and this is what I said. And that is the only way that you can tackle anything. If you speak in generalities, if you speak in the air, can't
get
do
into
much with it.
specifics, I will open a can of worms. So let me
You and I can connect later, Shilpa. This is fine. We'll keep it to product management here.
Yeah.
But my point is, if you have a specific question, for example, there were a lot of questions here on how do I transition from project management to product management? That's great. So do you have a specific company in mind? Do you have an application you tried? Did you speak to a person? Did they say something? So say that. Say an actual situation, say an actual thing that you encountered so that we can actually support you.
So I have a different question in mind. Would you mind if I take it forward?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So let's say there's a huge D2C brand, and that brand has a large customer base, and they want to improve their conversion optimization rate, and have to build features for it. Okay. And how do you test whether the user implementing this feature would actually improve the overall optimization rate of conversion? So would it be building through an MVP, or would it be through surveys? Consider the fact that the MVP will also take its own sweet time, and then also you have to chase people behind how they felt about the MVP, and also the fact that surveys aren't too multi-layered, like validating an MVP with people. Which approach would be better in your opinion?
This is so juicy, and this is what happens every day in product management. And this is a question for the entire group. I am not going to play the expert. Let's think through the question. Because you will have some flavor of that question in your own journey. Whether should you, let's kind of think through that question. I'm going to go through the framework again. So Vikram wants to know that he has a certain D2C company, blah, 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 blah. What approach should I take? Whether it should be an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, or should I use surveys? So what is missing for him to take that approach, or whatever approach that he needs to take? What do you think? What sufficient data or evidence is missing that will confidently inform him that this is the approach that he needs to take? Shout out, answers. I'm going to call out on people. I'm shameless.
How have you studied how others in the space have done it?
Okay, sure. Bye, Vaishnavi. Have a great one. Okay, so what others have done? I'm going to call out on people. There is Vinuta, who's been quiet throughout this call. I'm going to pick on you.
Sure. So basically, I believe there is no right or wrong answers, or there is no right or wrong approach, but always backing up the approach with the sufficient data and whatever that we have researched through. So that might really help and buying some time to put in the right approach or bring in the right approaches.
Absolutely.
Right.
Awesome.
I
But
just
great.
I
I
just
would
want
go
to
with
add.
user surveys. I would go with user surveys in your case.
Okay. Okay. Someone else had an answer. Please go ahead.
I think Vikram was trying to say something. Vikram, go ahead.
Yeah. So there is a unique issue here. So whenever you're trying to find out what has worked for the company, it has worked for that company's audience. So your company's audience may be entirely different. So research won't work here, and this is where the challenge was. Research will give you biased answers towards the particular company. So, that's why I didn't prefer research ones.
By
And
research, you mean the user surveys.
surveys have another issue. So since there's a large customer base, you don't know how each customer base have to choose cohorts here. And again, each cohort is so user surveys are kind of unreliable.
Sorry, each cohort is?
So I have to segment the customer base into cohorts, right? When I do that, each cohort is going to be unique on the factor which I use it to differentiate. I won't get a solid answer whether should I launch the feature or not. So this is an interesting pickle I got into. And in fact, this was the question which was asked to me in a recent interview. I was grilled for a long while. So I just wanted to put it out there because this is an interesting problem statement.
I would still go with user surveys simply because if it's a larger database, it's even more easier to find people. So however, whatever limited data that these surveys throw up, I would further segment it and tweak the questions and still go back to them asking, hey, can you do the survey again for me? And it's like fine-tuning it further to get more feedback. It's really about finding the hungry people, right? We have a product here, like she started off, feed the hungry people. It's about finding the hungry people. Are there hungry people? And user surveys are the best way to find them.
And MVP would also do the same thing, right?
I will interrupt Vikram for a minute because it's a very nuanced and very into the weeds kind of question. But that's fine, just so that this serves the larger audience. When you in product management are faced with a question, or maybe in life, this or that, essentially, everything has its pros and cons, this or that, and 100 times you will come across that question. So approach 1 is to provide data, use logic, approach 2 is to probably use your gut, use your emotions, whatever, to make that decision. What Vikram is essentially saying is, if I can break it down further, it is, how do I make a decision? And how do I let people know that the decision that I've made is the right decision for these reasons? It may completely go kaput and it might just go boom and terrible, it's awful, you'll get fired, that's fine. But this is something which is... Yeah, we don't want that. But ideally, that's a product management skill that everybody will be looking into at some point, in where how do you make a decision? How do you let your stakeholders know that this decision was the best decision at the point of time? So the answer, there is no answer, as someone here, Vinod, I think, said. But there is one way that you can tackle it. It's, again, the trust building. How do you build trust? You build trust by engendering a sense of shared accountability and transparency. If you are able to showcase to the team that the data that you are presented with, the data that you use to make the decision, and the data that is governing your decision in all transparency, it's up in the air right now. So if you can ask them what data made them ask that question in the first place, if they are asking you choose this or that, why is there only 2 options? What are they trying to achieve? Okay, the conversion rate, fine. But why do they need that conversion rate? Where? What? As much as you can drill down on the specifics on what they're trying to do, the business goals, and you're crystal clear the assumptions they have made, do not step into deciding an option. If they want the conversion rate done for something, okay, great. What are the assumptions that the business has that hopefully that they will not tell you or tell you that you have to make in order to make this choice? That needs to be explicitly mapped out. There are assumptions in the problem itself that are not being explicitly stated. So as much as you can, bring in transparency, bring in accountability, make sure that your vulnerability is spread out, open, thin, clear, shared, that no matter what, everybody knows what made you take the actions that you took. So that people who know something that you don't can step in and correct you at the earlier stages than later. That's the general piece of whatever. I wish I knew this earlier before I messed up kind of advice. So okay, anybody
Makes
else?
sense.
Any specific question? I know Vivek has been with us for so long. Thank you. Any questions? You had a bunch, so just picking on you. Okay.
Maybe I'll go ahead and ask you one question. So,
Sure.
so what tools do you have in your toolkits?
So can you be more specific? What kind of tools for what purpose?
What are the tools that you use on a regular basis? Right from say influencing the stakeholders to communicating with the development team. So, for example, Figma, that's my go-to. That's my favorite.
Mhm.
So, do you have some suggestions like that?
Okay. So again, my question will be a question. So what tool I use depends on, first of all, what's available in the organization. Someone might use Notion, someone might use Confluence, whatever. So I use whatever's available. But then product managers have, let's put it this way. We have goals depending on what is important to the organization.
Mhm.
Sometimes we need to document, sometimes we need to display, sometimes we need to collaborate. So those are the three buckets I would put my tools in. And it doesn't matter. I personally don't care. I'm agnostic to tools, whatever tool that is, that will serve. Pencil, paper, whiteboard, Jamboard, Google, Figma, Slack, whatever nonsense that there is, I will use it. To me, the purpose is, no day has been the same for me personally. Maybe there are product management disciplines where there is more structure, but it's not the same for me every day. But those three buckets that I just mentioned, if there is a tool that will serve it, I'll use it.
Okay.
I'm not the right person probably to give you a fancy Notion framework tool or document Google Doc template. No.
Yeah, no, because my intention for asking that question, because we have a lot of people here who are aspiring to be product managers, and
Right.
that's usually something that that they get asked, like, do you know Figma? Yes or no? So that's why I asked this question. So maybe that's something we can.
That's a great question. And again, I would ask them back, why would you want to know Figma? Why would you want to know Google Docs? Why would you want to know Excel? What is it that you intend to communicate to the recruiter or your boss that knowing this tool will add what value? I mean, no, I know Figma too, but I'm not a designer.
Okay.
So what is it that knowing this tool will help you add? So if you know Excel, but instead you can tell them, I use Excel, I use pivot tables to analyze customer CRM data to make this dashboard that will let you do this. Now that's valuable. The tool in itself is useless. You can use any tool to add value, then use it. So specific questions, shoot, I'm here to answer. As specific as you can get. And as silly as it can be. It can be as simple as somebody asked me this in an interview. I don't know. I don't know how to talk to people. Fine. Pick a person. We'll find their LinkedIn. Shoot a message right now. Really, it's an open field. So we're just left with Vinita, Evangeline, Vivek, and Apurva. Any questions from you folks?
So Krishna, I've seen your profile on LinkedIn. So you have played product owner and product manager. And this roles like product owner is most of the times it's very unique to the organization. In the general perception, the product owner does not necessarily have a similar thought process as product manager, or the product manager is like a CEO of that product. So wherein the product owner is mostly working with the product manager to break down and share that requirement details to the team, where we can't have product manager working with every sprint teams. So how do we know when we look at product owner roles that these are the roles which can take us to kind of being a product manager, gets a great exposure, versus something which just runs the agile ceremonies of a product owner? How do we differentiate them? So basically, when I'm looking for opportunities, if I have to, let's say, start with a product owner, I don't want to end up in a role which is more like doing the backlog grooming and more like someone who has done a certification of agile product owner and doing the course.
A great question. I'm inclined to answer this, but it may not be polite. So may I have your permission to be a little blunt about it?
Sure.
With your kind permission.
I can see the hesitation.
So
Yeah, sure.
I honestly appreciate you asking that question, and at least you had the courage to ask this question. Many people have this question and they're quiet about it, but you didn't. So thank you for having the courage to ask. My sincere response to this is nobody cares. Really, honestly, nobody cares. And I don't mean it in any disrespectful way. What I mean is what background you're from, what you do, your product something, product marketing, product owner, product manager, product blah, product this, product operation, product whatever. Inside an organization, if you have the title product prefixed in front of you, you basically do anything and everything for the product to succeed. You don't ask if this is my job, if this is something that it literally, the mark of a good product person is there is no boundary towards the product. You do everything in your power to make the product succeed. That's it. And now, to specifically to your question, whether you're grooming backlogs, whether you're writing bug tickets, whether you're just running sprints as a Scrum Master, it really doesn't matter. The product manager, the so-called title in itself, is the most humble title that you'll ever have. You really have to break your pride and be like, I'm nothing. I don't exist. I'm only the person who creates value for people. That's it. You need to disappear. You don't exist. You know that a product manager has done their job when you shoot them and the organization runs perfectly well without them. That's when you know you've done your job. Everybody knows the context, the what, the why. That's your job to make sure everyone understands the what and the why. The how, they will figure out. The developer, the designer, they will figure it out. But if you, at a point, start delineating, putting boundaries and saying this is the product owner's job, the tactical bits, they need to do it. Oh, it's not going to work. And that's a very contrarian view. That's a very arrogant view that I have, that I hold on to. But then there's also Monali, who's a product practitioner here. And I'm sure there are others as well. Each person has their own view. I shared mine. And
I don't think it's arrogant. I just think you're confident.
It's just what it is. You do everything you have to in order for the product to succeed. Whether you're a product owner, whether you're a product manager, doesn't matter, Vivek. And what you do has very little significance. What you put on your resume, whether you did X backlogs, whether you did that and this, end of the day, the recruiter is only going to ask you one thing. Did you create value? Did you create an impact for the business? That's it. And even in your current, you have an excellent profile. Transitioning, we can connect later as well. There might be some specific things you can highlight in your profile that will, catch someone's eye. Right, that was a
All right,
very
thank
valuable
you.
question. Thank you for asking. Okay, anyone else?
Anything
Yes,
else?
it's fine.
Also, Krishna, you have done a master's in business technology. Not sure if that's more like a a technical master's or more like a
It
MBA.
wasn't a technical master's. No.
Yeah, it was more like an MBA. And usually, for product managers, most of the places they look for MBA at least at a certain growth. Uh, Even I was looking at that. I did a MBA Essentials from University of Toronto, where we touched
Wow,
upon the
amazing.
various areas, and
Yeah.
I appreciate, because certain things only when you learn those concepts, then you start appreciating, and certain things you start seeing in a different views. So, how much would that add value on a long run for the product management career versus so at this point I'm trying to look whether I should pursue something seriously, a full-time MBA or executive MBA, or does it really matter with taking this career in a longer run?
Thank you. And my brother's on this call, and I've told him the same thing. And I'll tell anybody else the same thing. These are my views and opinions. So if somebody wants to come back chasing with an axe, that's fine. If you're asking the question, do I need to do it? That itself is informing your answer. If this is not about conviction, this is about data. You can go ahead, look into the whatever program, that thing. So there is some benefit, I agree, to having a structured environment to learn. And there are some courses. But if you are investing X amount of dollars, X amount of time in hopes of building a product or learning to build a product, my question back to you is, why wouldn't you invest the same in yourself and build it? Why wouldn't you? If the brand meant something, if the brand MBA, if the title of the university meant something, of course, go for it. If it's clout, if it's vanity, if it's something that you would love having on your resume, that's fine. But then, to my best knowledge, I do not know of any university or course that is offering an advanced product management practice. There are some available online, and there are some here, BrainStation, and so on and so forth, that teaches you the discipline of discovering a product, discovering the problem, going through and validation and all of that. If that's in your alley, go for it. Right. But then telling you honestly that having a degree will help you get a job or break into something, that's not something I would never espouse. No. And it's not an engineering degree, it's not a design degree, it's not something hands-on, not something technical that they've taught you skills. Right. So I wouldn't ever say that. But there are other ways that you can learn it for the same. In my degree, I actually built a startup from scratch, acquired customers, got it to revenue, pitched it, made a company out of it. That taught me more than what the classrooms did. And this may not be what you expected, for which I apologize, but that's most of my answers.
No, that's something really I was looking, because you did mention earlier, right? You did reach out to certain CEOs and worked without any pay, and you got the exposure. So that exposure versus the 2-year exposure in the college, if you weigh, that's always an interesting perspective to look at that way. So it's good that you said the actual exposure makes a lot of difference.
How do you become a product manager? By building products, right?
Right. I mean, if you look at various folks, like Steve Jobs or anyone, right? They are not educated much, but end of the day, they run such a big enterprise.
contrarian view. I mean, there's also Monali there's in the call, so she's free to share whatever she would like.
The journey will differ from person to person. Like for example, for myself, I am a computer engineer. I started off with my previous company back in July of 2011. I started with them as a content manager. And then within the organization, I kept taking on new roles and all of that. And my last role was the senior manager of production operations. So for me, I don't have a degree in product management. I have a degree in computer engineering, but product management is something that I've learned on the job. So again, for every person, the journey will be different depending on where you are at, which company you're at, what your personal aspiration, and how much work you are willing to put in as well. For example, some people would prefer to have a degree. Some people would like to do it hands-on by themselves. Again, it differs from person to person, and so you need to find out what your I would say driving point is, what your motivations are, and how much how much of work you're willing to put into this journey as well.
All right. Also, are you aware of any good freelance sites where you can look for short-term opportunities where even if it's not a paid opportunity, but you can get exposure and you can contribute? I looked at certain freelance, but I see a lot of technical roles, but not something into the product management kind of roles.
I'll also defer to Monali at this one. As far as I know, people are hesitant to share product management as freelance. I mean, there is TopTal, there is a few other places where you can do it. But it is generally you going out, reaching out to people and doing it. I'm not aware of anything that I can confidently say. Except maybe the only discipline that I know is TopTal, which I think I spelled it as TOPTAL. I think that's the only one that I know. But I didn't get it. I failed that test, so I've never used it.
All right.
Yeah, actually, product management, there are very few full-fledged courses and all of that because there's so much going on in this particular discipline. It's really difficult to formalize it. So there are a few that I know of. I think LinkedIn has a lot of resources. Like if you want to get started, they have a lot of courses that they offer. The product school has a lot of micro credentials that they offer as well. And if you're looking for any kind of crash course, I know there's something called as the Brain Station. So they offer a 12-week program where they will keep upskill you. They will give you a project and you can work with them and all of that. But again, of course, these are not cheap. They are a little expensive, and there are a couple of others as well. Maybe I'll think through them and I'll share them. But
there are tons of it. Absolutely, you're right. There are tons of it, and everyone and their mother wants to be a product coach now. So if you go on LinkedIn, they have this. So everyone's coaching you how to become a product manager, how to crack interviews, this, that, and that. No shortage of resources. But really, I'm of the opinion that you're much better off yourself building something. There is, of course, a curriculum you can follow, a way to discover. There are books, there are resources. You can connect with people. They'll provide it. We are hiring as well. So if there is somebody here with an accounting background, a CPA background, our organization is hiring one role. So happy to refer anybody here. So that's that. Okay, we're almost at the end of time.
Yeah, should we wind up?
It's always better to network with people who are already in the industry. I think LinkedIn is a great resource. And also, I think for me personally, what helped was, I found a mentor within my organization. Like I didn't know nothing about product management. So I had somebody who helped me through that journey. So I had somebody to hold my hand and walk me through the path. So maybe finding somebody who can help you with that would also help.
All right, then are we done? Any more questions? Nobody. Okay. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. I'll let Manali do the vote of thanks.
Go ahead, Shilpa. I know it's more about practice for you. You've done it so many times. This is
No, you go on. You go on. It's okay.
All right. Thank you so much for your valuable insights, Krishnapriya. And I know all of our participants must have found it really helpful. And we are all going back with 3 wonderful thought bombs. So thank you very much for that. And I think this session was incredibly helpful. For me, it's personally, it has challenged a lot of my own thinking as well, my own biases as well. So thank you very much for that. Go ahead, Shilpa.
No, thank you very much. I have also begun thinking I'm also a product manager. I never thought myself like that. So, but yes, it was wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.